have reached Red Steele's Total Review. I'm your man Steele, and today I'll be reviewing for Transformer Age of the Primes Silverbolt. Transformers Age of the Primes Silverbolt. But before I get into the actual review, I just want to go over some of the awesome details on this packaging. Up front here, you have this beautiful illustration of Silverbolt in his robot mode and Silverbolt in his supersonic jet mode. And back here you have Air Raid and Slingshot, both in their jet modes, and they're all flying over Cybertron. In the corner here on top it says more than meets the eye. Below that you have the Autobot symbol. Down here it says 3 of 5 Superion. Over here you have 44 steps to transform him. And on the very bottom you have an 8+, which is the age required for this figure. Then across the bottom here it says Transformers Age of the Primes, and down here it says Aerialbot Silverbolt, and in the corner here you have the Hasbro emblem. Then on top of the packaging here, you have the Transformers logo. Below that it says Aerialbot Silverbolt. Then over here you have a picture of all the Primes. In the corner here you have the Takara Tomy logo. Then aside the packaging here, on the very top, it says 3 of 5 Superion, collect to combine. Then over here you have a spectacular picture of Superion, and down here, Transformers Age of the Primes, and below that, Aerialbot Silverbolt. Then on the other side of the packaging here, on the very top it says, till all are one. In the middle here you have some pictures of some of the Primes. Then over here it says, Transformers Age of the Primes. And on the very bottom here it says it is a Commander class figure. Then at the back of the packaging here, on the very top it says 3 of 5, collect to combine. Up in the corner here it says Aerialbot Silverbolt, and they'll have all the figures features such as Silverbolt in his robot mode, Silverbolt in his supersonic jet mode, Silverbolt in his battle station, and over here you have Silverbolt in his super jet mode. And over here it says it takes 44 steps to get there. Then up here you have a picture of Superion. Then over here you have a little box that says that Aerialbot Slingshot can become Superion's arm. And over here you have a little box that says Aerialbot Air Raid can become Superion's leg. Then over here you have the More Than Meets the Eye authentic logo. In the corner here you have the Hasbro emblem. Now I'll go ahead and unbox Superion. I'm going to the box sideways, and I'm going to grab my trusty scissors and cut this tape right here. Open up this flap, and I always like to stay very consistent, so I always open my packages from the right side. So you have this little flap here. Go and pull it out, get the box off to the side. Get the instructions in the back right here. They kind of fell out. Then over here, it looks like you have Superion. He's tied down by some tie wraps. So I'll snip right now. I'll do that carefully, and I'm pretty much an expert at doing this because I've opened a lot of these Transformers or toy packages. Let's go ahead and do that. You got another piece that's kind of hooked on there, and there's Silverbolt. Looks like his blasters right here. I'm not sure where his nose comes at. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this blaster out. It looks like there's a little compartment or box underneath this. I'm not sure there's anything underneath this. It doesn't feel like there is, but it does feel like this piece right here is being held on by some tape in the back, some flaps. So I'm going to cut this out. That way, as I poke it, run my fingers through it because this tape tears out very easy. Stick that right here. Okay, now this thing should come out now. Just like that. So now you have that additional piece. And I noticed with these combiners that they're adding that additional piece because when original Generation 1 came out, the pieces were kind of like extra when you wanted to combine them into the figure. So if you ever bought a loose combiner and didn't have the combination parts, you most likely weren't able to combine them in their final form. But this is all the contents of the package. Transformers Age of the Primes Commander Class Aerialbot Silverbolt. Silverbolt was released June 27, 2025 with the suggested retail price of $89.99, and he's available at all major retailers. Silverbolt is a Generation 1 inspired figure that converts to his jet mode in 44 steps. His accessories include 2 blasters, thruster, and instructions. Silverbolt stands 7 inches tall, and he is meant for fans ages 8 and up. Next, I'm going to go ahead and convert Silverbolt from his jet with thruster mode all the way to his robot mode. The first step of that transformation, I'm going to take Silverbolt, and underneath this cockpit right here, you have this blaster. I'm going to tab this blaster and put this off to the side. So step number 2, we're going to take his wings right here and right here. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. With these wings, you want to bring them up just like that. Do that TSI, bring that wing up just like that. This is step number 3. Tip those wings here. You know the hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take these wings and bring them in just like that. Do that TSI, bring that wing in just like that. So step number 4, we're going to take Silverbolt now and detach him from his thruster. You want to put his thruster off to the side. Step number 5, we want to grab Silverbolt now. You have these wing pieces right there and right there. Below these wing pieces, you have a hinge nut right there and right there. You want to bring these wing pieces down. If you want to sure this tab goes right in that porthole, just like that. Go into that to the other side. Bring that wing down so it tabs into place just like that. This is step number 6. You have this tail fin right here. You have a tab and a porthole here. You have a hinge nut right in the middle. You want to bring this tail fin up so it meets in the middle and tabs right into place just like that. So step number 7. You want to flip Silverbolt over. You have this panel right there and right there. And there's a hinge right there. You want to bring this panel up just like that. And just like that. You want to make sure it tabs into place. You have this landing gear right here at the back of Superion's head. We're going to take that landing gear and bring it down just like that. And so far, you'll have Silverbolt in his regular jet mode. Step number 8. We're going to take Silverbolt. You want to flip him around. Those landing gears you just put down, you want to put back up. So you want to push this landing gear back into Superion's head just like that. These back landing gears right here, you want to push back just like that and just like that. So step number 9, you want to flip over Silverbolt. You have his cockpit right here. You have a panel right here, and you have a hinge nut right there. You want to kind of open up that panel just like that. So step number 10, you have this nose cone right here. You have a hinge nut right there. You want to flip that nose cone right into the cockpit just like that. So step number 11, go to that panel now and close it up just like that. So step number 12, you have this tailpiece right here. You have a hinge nut right there. I'm going to go and untab that tailpiece just like that. So step number 13, you have a double jointed hinge joint right there. You want to kind of pop that panel up and over just like that. So step number 14, you have this nose cone right here. This whole long piece right here. You have a hinge joint right there. With this whole nose cone piece, we're going to untap it just like that. So step number 15, you have a double jointed hinge right there. You kind of want to take that whole piece now and pop it up just like that. So step number 16, what you want to do is take this whole piece now, and you got to tab it right into place. So you got a couple of tabs right there and right there. The poles right there and right there. You want to go ahead and tab everything right into place just like that. Then step number 17, you have these wing panels right here. You have a hinge nut right there and right there. And with these wing panels, fold it up just like that and just like that. Step number 18. You want to grab Silverbolt now. You have this whole side piece right here. You have a hinge joint right there. It's a double jointed hinge joint. So what they want you to do is take this piece now, untab it. You will kind of want to bring it down and out like that. Do that to the other side. Take this piece now, untab it, that double jointed hinge joint. Want to bring it down and out just like that. So step number 19. You have this whole leg piece right here. You have a hinge joint right there. You want to bring that piece down just like that. Do that to the other side. Bring that piece down just like that. So step number 20. At the bottom of this leg piece here, you have this black piece right there and right there. You have a hinge joint right there and right there. Going through that black piece, you want to flip it up just like that. Do that to the other side, that black piece, and flip it up just like that. So step number 21, inside this black piece, you have another panel right there. You have a hinge joint right there. Go to that panel and flip it out just like that. Do that to the other side, that black panel, and flip it out just like that. So step number 22, you have that knee joint right there. I'm going to take this leg piece and straighten it out just like that. Do that to the other side, that leg piece, and straighten it out just like that. So step number 23, right at the thigh here, you have a swivel joint. So we take this leg piece and turn it out just like that. Do that to the other side, to that leg piece, and turn it out just like that. Step number 24. You have Silverbolt's chest piece right here, but on this chest piece you have the hinge joint right there. You want to take this chest piece, you want to untap it and bring it down just like that. This is step number 25. You have Silverbolt's shoulder pieces right there and right there. Back at these shoulder pieces you have a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take these shoulder pieces, you want to flip them out just like that. Do that to your side, you want to flip it out just like that. So step number 26, you have Silverbolt's arms right there and right there. You want to take his arms now, and we're going to straighten them out just like that. We're going to do it to the side, take this arm piece and straighten out just like that. So step number 27, inside the forearm here, you have his fist. You have a hinge joint right there. You want to take that fist, you want to flip it out just like that. Go and do it to the other side, take that fist, we're going to go and flip it out just like that. So step number 28, at the front of his chest piece right here, you have Silverbolt's head. You have a hinge joint right there. You want to take that head, you want to flip it out just like that. So step number 29, now you have Superion's head. You got a hinge joint right there. You want to take his head, you want to push it all the way in just like that. So step number 30, you want to take this chest piece, you want to make sure everything aligns because you have a couple tabs right there and right there. You have a porthole right there and right there. You have another tab right there and right there. You want to take this chest piece, you want to push it up so all the tabs go into place just like that. You want to make sure the shoulder piece is tabbed right into place also, just like that. So step number 31, you want to take Silverbolt's head right here. We're going to turn that all the way around. So in step number 32, you want to take his wings, you want to bring it out just like that, and just like that. And now you have Silverbolt in his full robot mode. Step number 33. Now you want to go ahead and work on Silverbolt's thruster. Top of that thruster, you have this black piece right here. You want to take this black piece, you want to go and untab it, and put this off to the side. So step number 34, on the back of the thruster here, you have this white panel right here. Top of this white panel, you have a hinge joint right there. With this white panel, and we're going to flip it up just like that. So step number 35, underneath that panel, you have another white panel right here with a hinge joint. You want to take that panel, you want to flip that up also. So step number 36, you want this whole back piece right here, we want to unclip it and put this off to the side. So step number 37, you have these red pieces right there and right there. There's a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to take these red pieces, flip them in just like that. Do that to the side of that red piece and flip it in just like that. Step number 38. You want to go and grab the rear piece from Silverbolt's thruster. You have this white little tab right there. You have a hinge joint right there. You want to take this tab and flip it down just like that. So step number 39. You have this larger white panel right here. You have a hinge joint right there. You want to take this white panel and you want to flip that down just like that. Step number 40, you have these long pieces right there and right there. You have a swivel joint right there and right there. You want to take this end piece and rotate it right to the swivel joint, just like that. Do that to the other side, take this end piece and rotate it right to the swivel joint, just like that. So step number 41, you want to go and grab Silverbolt's thruster here. You have some tabs right there, right there, right there, and right there. On the back piece right here, you have some portholes right there, right there, right there, and right there. You want to take these pieces, you want to align them and tab them right into place, just like that. So step number 42, that black piece you pulled off earlier on, you want to go in and grab it, and you got a hinge joint right there and right there. You want to straighten it out and flip it just like that. So step number 43, on the bottom of this piece, there's a porthole right there and right there. On top of the battle station, and a couple tabs right there and right there. You want to take this piece, you want to peg it right on top of the battle station just like that. Because in the 44th and final step, I want you to grab Silverbolt now. You want to put him right behind his battle station. And now you have Silverbolt fully transformed into his robot mode along with his battle station. Now they have Silverbolt in his jet with thruster mode, so I'm going to go over some of his plate features. And I have to say, this is a beautifully done piece. I mean, with Motormaster, it was understandable because Motormaster's cab actually transformed into Motormaster and his trailer became parts of Menasor. Well, I was wondering what they're going to do with Silverbolt because I did see this big piece at the end. I'm glad you're able to take it off and just leave Silverbolt as the plain jet, because this is a cool way to kind of utilize the Superion parts as part of this jet. It makes him into a super jet, but they're calling this a thruster. It's very, very nicely done. As you can see, kind of like attaches cleanly onto Silverbolt, where his wings kind of extend forward. And you have these little flaps right here to kind of further make it bigger wings. And it even gives him kind of a Cybertronian mode. And even the tail fin right here for Silverbolt opens up to like an Autobot symbol. Very, very cool. I'm going to rotate this around so you can see what it looks like from all angles. I say the Superion's great. Very hefty. Very, very nicely done. And I'm going to go ahead and take him off camera and turn him back into his jet mode. And bam, he's back to his jet mode. I'm going to bring his landing gear down. I showed you how to do that earlier on while I was transforming Silverbolt. The landing gear right here, a little tab right there. You just pull up the landing gear just like that. You got these landing gears right here. Pull that down just like that, and just like that. Don't get me wrong, they're not actual wheels, but it's nice that Hasbro Takara actually took the means, or maybe listened to the fans, because I know a lot of Generation figures did not have any landing gears, so the figures kind of sat right onto the surface. And I do love that the fact that they put landing gears on this version of Silverbolt so you can display him in his jet mode. Very, very nicely done. And the thing with this Silverbolt is, he's based on the anime model from the Generation 1 cartoon series. So you got that 80s, more that 80ish looking supersonic jet. And the one thing that I know they can't really engineer, and they couldn't get around this with this figure also, is in the Generation 1 cartoon series, when he transformed into supersonic jet, you didn't see all this stuff on the bottom here. They didn't really animate any of that. They animated him as an actual supersonic jet. So I mean, that would be an impossible feat for them to take a sleek supersonic jet and make him transform into both the centerpiece of Superion and the robot. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in my Generation 1 Silverbolt and kind of show you what they kind of did with this version of Silverbolt. I mean, they had to accomplish three things with Silverbolt. They had to do a supersonic jet, a robot, and the centerpiece of Superion. And back then, the technology wasn't as... I mean, this is pretty new technology, pretty new engineering. And, I mean, you see a lot of the robot parts on the bottom of this jet. I mean, it's not too bad. But like I said, it's almost an impossible feat. But they could have done something with the gaps in the wings. And the panels do not sit flush. I mean, you got this piece right here that kind of sticks out a little bit. Looks very, very hokey. They didn't do any mold detail for the windows here. They kind of gave you a sticker detail for both the cockpit here was actually a molded painted detail. But, I mean, they could have done more. I mean, you do have the landing gear here, but the landing gears do not retract in the back here. They do in the front. And they actually have little wheels. That's the plus about the Generation 1 version of Silverbolt. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is. It just does what it has to do. And the Combiner Wars version of Silverbolt was more of a modern take of that supersonic jet, where they actually, they did a lot of great mold detail. And it was a vast improvement over the Generation 1 version of Silverbolt. And this was my definitive Silverbolt up until this one was released. And you look at it, it has little thrusters in the back. Very, very nicely done. I mean, they kind of did a better job with the bottom here, but I mean, there's only so much you can do with the supersonic jet because those are very sleek jets. And there's no way to engineer all these parts into this little narrow jet here. And I do love the fact that they actually have landing gear right here with the supersonic jet. But the problem I'm having is it does not lay flush. You get this molded wheel detail on the Superion's chest right here, but it does not sit flush. As you can see, it's gonna kind of wobble to the side. So I'm not sure, you know, if I'm doing it wrong or if there's another way to do it. But maybe I should just bring that in a little bit more. See, it doesn't even work. But there's really no way to make this landing gear actually function as a full landing gear. But I'm going to rotate these around so you can see what they look like from all angles. I mean, you can see the different generations of Silverbolt. And I also have the Thrilling 30s version of Silverbolt. I did not bring them out for means of this review because that Silverbolt only transformed into the standard robot and jet mode. I mean, it was a beautifully done figure, but did not have any means of transforming into Superion, nor did it have any other Aerialbots to combine with. It was just a standalone figure that was made just for the celebration of the Thrilling 30s. But I'm going to go ahead and take Combiner Wars, put him off to the side. I'm going to do the same with the Generation 1 version of Silverbolt. Because I want to go ahead and talk about the Silverbolt, because this is a fantastic figure. I mean, just the engineering alone was fantastic, where you have the perfect alignment of all the panels here. You don't have a lot of gaps here. But I love the mold detail here for the windows, and they painted a gold detail just like the original animated model from the cartoon series. They did the cockpit detail right here, very, very beautifully done. But I would have to say this Silverbolt right here has become my new definitive Silverbolt, and I can't wait. And I'm not really going to get into the means of combining him into Superion because I do not have all 5 Aerialbots yet. They haven't released, I believe it's Firebolt, and I can't remember the last one's name, but I do have Slingshot and Air Raid. But after I get the last two aerial bots, I will do a review just dedicated to Superion, his combination and all his play features and accessories. Now there's Silverbolt in his robot mode, and on my display table, I once again want to go over some of his play features and accessories. First, I talk about his blaster. And according to the instructions, we're going to arm Silverbolt with this blaster while he's in his robot mode. You do that because the handle of the blaster here is actually a 5mm peg. Each one of his fists has a 5mm porthole. You take that blaster and plug in either one of his fists, and now you have Silverbolt armed with this blaster. But also, according to the instructions, there's a way to store this blaster on Silverbolt while he's in his robot mode. This was on the bottom of the blaster here. You have a little tab right there. You turn Silverbolt all the way around, and on his backpack on both sides, you have a porthole right there and right there. You want to take that blaster with the barrel facing down. You want to take this tab, put it right into this porthole, just like that. And now you have Silverbolt with his blaster stored while he's in his robot mode. But personally, I'm not a big fan of storing my weapons on my Transformers while they're in a robot mode. So I feel like, why store them when you can arm them? And they look much more menacing and cooler on your display shelves, armed and ready for battle. So I'm going to take this blaster and put it back into Silverbolt's hand. And I have to say, this Silverbolt is fantastic. I mean, he is the definitive Silverbolt in my honest opinion. I mean, he looks so much, he's so faithful to the animated model from the Generation cartoon series, even in jet mode too. And I have to say, so far what I've seen from the Superion torso mode, he's pretty spot on. So this figure overall is probably the best. I mean, they did make a great version of Silverbolt for Thrilling 30s that had a great robot mode. He had a modern, and as I mentioned earlier, he had a modern looking supersonic jet mode, and they kind of incorporated that where they kind of wanted to modernize a lot of the Generation 1 Transformers, which they did with that Silverbolt. But unfortunately, they didn't release the other Aerialbot, so there wasn't really a means to have to transform him into the Superion torso. So I'm leaving that one out of this review because the other Silverbolts I'm going to compare him to have the ability to transform into that torso. And I'm not really going to get into that transformation in this review because I do not have all 5 Aerialbots yet. And once I do, I'm going to do a standalone review on Superion. So just hang tight for that one. That one's going to be a great one. But this figure's fantastic. And I do have the Combiner Wars version of Silverbolt because he is that supersonic modern jet mode for this figure, and they kind of gave more of that modern look to it. So they try to modernize Silverbolt a little bit, but us G1 faithfuls, we always love the animated model from the Generation cartoon series. So that's more our Silverbolt. But this one here, this is a whole different generation's Silverbolt because, you know, this one came out about, I want to say almost 10 years ago now because, I mean, he's pre-Legacy, pre-War for Cybertron. He was more of the Prime series. I think he was at the beginning of the Prime series because he came out with the other Combiners. And the one thing about the Combiners here is the torsos were much larger than the other Aerialbots. So with Generation 1, which I do have my Generation 1 Silverbolt on hand, do a side-by-side comparison. And before I get too much into the review, I just want to go over this. You might be looking at Generation 1 Silverbolt and you're wondering, well, how did they get the animated model from this figure? And how did they get this figure and that figure? Well, I believe when the animators got a sample model of Silverbolt, they left the Superion chest piece on. And that's apparent because you see these little wings above his shoulders, which was a design element in the animated model from the Generation cartoon series. And it kind of carried through to the other generations. And you got this whole piece right here where they kind of animated it a little bit onto Silverbolt alone. And they kind of carried through when they even with the Combiners War, they kind of had a different take on Silverbolt, but they still have the elements of that design. But this is what Silverbolt's supposed to look like. But that somehow, you know, with a lot of the Generation 1 cartoon series, a lot of continuity was missed, and this is what Silverbolt was supposed to look like Generation 1 wise, according to the instructions. So I'm gonna take this plate and put it off to the side. But the thing with Aerialbots was, with this one, this is what the animated model was based on. And the problem with the Aerialbots is they're supposed to be a team. When they animated them, they're pretty similar in size, where Silverbolt is a little bit larger than the rest of the Aerialbots, and the same for the other Combiner teams, like Motormaster was just a tad bit taller than the other Stunticons, and Defensor with Hotshot, and Bruticus had Onslaught. And the leaders or the torsos of each of those Combiners were slightly larger than the other team members. Well, the toy-wise, they were much larger because the other Aerialbots scale half the size of the leaders, and that was very odd, and it just didn't look like a team. It just looked like an extension of Silverbolt, where he's had these other 5 smaller robots that combine with him to form Superion. Well, that's one correction they made with the scaling for this version of Silverbolt. The Aerialbots are pretty similar in size. They kind of come up to the shoulder right here, and much like the anime series. Even with Combiner Wars, they're much smaller than Silverbolt. But I'll go and rotate them around so you can see the similarities, because a lot of the design elements of transformation, the engineering did carry on into this figure, and they blended both worlds into one nicely in this figure. And I really love the fact that when they announced Silverbolt for Age of the Primes, I was worrying, well, how are they going to pull this off? Because with the scaling, the only way they can get it to work is if Silverbolt is much larger than the other 4 Aerialbots. And with Motormaster it worked because Motormaster, they engineered it so Motormaster's cab transformed into Motormaster and the trailer became parts of Menasor. And if you watch the Generation cartoon series, when Motormaster transformed into Menasor, it was just him turning into Menasor and the Stunticons attached to his limbs. It wasn't like each of those limbs were transformed from each of those Stunticons. With the Aerialbots, each of those limbs transformed from each of those jets, or the Aerialbots. So, how are they going to pull off Silverbolt? Well, they did that because they made a thruster piece that attached to the back of his jet, which also becomes his base. And these parts actually divide into parts and become Superion, which I'm not going to really get into that here because I'm going to do a standalone review later on. And I think that's smart because, a lot of people are going to gripe because a lot of the, Combiner Wars, they did put a lot of those Combiner pieces into each of the individual, team members. Like the Constructicons with Long Haul, where he kind of took took it the worst out of all the Constructicons because a lot of those Combiner pieces were combined into his robot form and his truck mode, so he was a very bulky, weird-looking, out-of-proportion robot. Well, with Generation 1, a lot of those Combiner pieces were separate. So, a lot of us older fans, we find it very forgivable that they went ahead and molded separate pieces for that to make a Combiner robot. And I really do love that they cleverly hit it with a thruster jet, because when I saw pictures, I was like, well, Silverbolt was kind of weird, like a heavy-ended supersonic jet, but I was thrilled to find out that this piece detaches and it actually could be just a regular supersonic jet on its own. That was very nicely done. But the cool thing about this accessory right here is it's a little battle station, and they have like Superion's cannon here, because I'm not sure if it was a mistranslated or it was missed in translation, but the original Superion had a blaster. So when they animated Superion, they gave him a cannon. So this is the cannon that probably attaches to Superion when he's combined together, which, like I said, I'll get to later on. But I think it's really cool that they did this. It's very hefty, and I do see this commanding a commander class, no pun intended, price. With this piece right here, it's pretty big, little battle station. I'm going to rotate this around so you can see this from all angles. It's a nicely done figure, and I highly recommend picking up this figure. But if you guys found any of the information in this review valuable, please like and share this video. Also, really enjoy my content, please subscribe my channel, and while you're there, click the bell to be notified of any future videos. I want to thank you guys for watching Red Steele's Toy Collector Review. I'll check you guys out next time.